a discussion on object class and how it is playing a major role in Java programming. So this object class will act as a superclass, or you can say parent class of all predefined classes. So in Java programming, we have plenty of predefined classes as a part of library package. So this object class will be a superclass for the predefined classes which are there in the uh, package library. So apart from the predefined class, this object class will act as a parent class for our own classes. So we say it is a user defined class. So whenever we would develop an application, we will create a number of classes inside that. So this object class will act as a parent for our own user defined classes, right? So we will see uh, how this is being achieved in Java. And so this Java object class is also a predefined class. So it is a predefined class, and it is a part of java.lang. So in Java there is a package, language package. So this object class will be part of this java.lang package. So in Java programming, so in general we say Java follows single inheritance. So in case of single inheritance, in the sense every class should have at most one parent. So that is a concept behind single inheritance. So as I told earlier, object class will act as a parent for all the user defined and predefined. So whatever the classes we create inside the application, it always have object as a parent. So this will ensure Java's single inheritance model across our own application as well as the predefined classes. So internally, Java follows single inheritance model with the help of an object class. Now we'll come back to certain methods of object class. So how these methods are useful for developing an application. So there is a method equals of method. So this will compare two objects, and it will return boolean. So this equals method allows you to compare two different objects, and the both objects are same, this will return true. Suppose if both objects are different, this will return a boolean false. Then there is a method hash code. So the hash code generates the unique ID for an object which we are creating uh, inside our application. So this method ensures every object having its own hash code value. So this will create a hash code. This will create a hash code for every object, and this will return the return type of hash code is of integer type. So this will generate a hash code of object. So this object may be either a predefined object or it may be a user defined object. So and it will return a boolean. Sorry, it will return an integer. So that is about a hash code method. Then there is a method toString. So in general, toString returns, or it will simply describe an object. So here an object may be either predefined object or it may be an user defined object. So this toString method allows us to describe it, and this will return string. So the return type of toString is always a string, and the string will have a description about an object. And if you want, you can override it inside your own class. We will see how this overriding is happening. There is a method clone of in object class, so which allows you to you can create a copy of an object, Suppose you have created an object inside your application. If you wanted to have an exact copy of a particular object, then you can go with the clone method. So this will create a copy of an object and it returns the corresponding object type. Then there is a method getClass method, which allows you to know the class name of the particular object type. So this will return name of the class. So if you would like to know the class name of a particular object type, then you can go with getClass method. So this will return name of the class of the invoking object. So you have an object, and if you want to know the class name of the particular object type, then you can go with getClass method. So that is about getClass method. Then apart from that, there is a method finalize. So this method will be invoked by the garbage collector to remove the unnecessary objects from the memory. So during the garbage collection section, we will discuss in depth about the finalize method. So this finalize method is a part of an object class. So the major role of finalize method is will be invoked by the garbage collector. So the garbage collector is a background thread in Java environment. So what the major role of garbage collector is simply deletes the object from the memory which are no longer referenced inside our application. So to remove dereferenced objects from the memory. So this finalize method will be invoked by garbage collector before removing dereferenced objects from the memory. So that is a major role of finalize method. How the finalize method is being executed, how it is being called by the garbage collector, we'll discuss those things under garbage collection section. So these are all the available method inside an object class for working with the particular type of an apart from that, we have method like wait. So there is a method wait, and there is a method notify, and there is a method notify all. So these three methods which allows you to code your application in the multi-threaded environment. So if you want to code it in multi-threaded environment, then you may be using these methods inside your application. So we'll discuss in detail about these methods in multi-threading in Java. Before that, you can have a basic understanding what is wait method. So wait method will simply suspend the execution of a thread for the predefined time. You can pass how much time you wanted to suspend a particular thread inside a wait method. And notify all methods which allows you to resume the already suspended method. So these three methods which allows you to which allows you to run your application in a better way in multi-threaded environment. So these are all the methods which are there, which are available inside the object class. Demonstration of the methods we have discussed in object class. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to create a class. So I'm going to create a class as a student. So inside the student class, I'm going to have two private members. So to represent name and roll number. So I have declared a name and I have declared roll number. So roll number as an integer and name as a string. So I have two private members, and for accessing these two private members, I should have public getters and setters methods. So I'm going to I have created getters and setters. Now to test all the methods of the student class, I'm going to create another class, student test. So inside the student test, I can have a main method. So inside this main, I'm going to create an object for the student. So I have created an object for the student, and now we'll demonstrate the method of an object class. So we'll start with the equals method. So equals method, we discussed that it is going to compare two objects. If both objects are same, that will return true. If both objects are different, that will return false, right? So I'm going to print the return value. So here I'm going to take s1 dot equals of s1. So here I'm going to compare the object s1 with the same object. Now in the given case, both objects are same, right? So if you run this, you will get true as a result. Suppose if I have one more object s2, so now we will try to compare object s1 with object s2. We will see what is going to be the output. Now we are getting it as false because you are comparing two objects, both are different, so this will return false, right? Now the next method, that is going to be the hash code. So the hash code is a hashing value for the objects which we have created inside our program. So now we will see how it looks, right? So I'm going to invoke s1 dot hash code, and I'm going to print s2 dot hash code. We will see how it looks. So the hash code is an integer, it is a hashing value which is unique for every object we create. So here we have two objects, and the hash code of both objects is unique and it is different. So this is how you can come to know the hash code of the particular object we have created. Then there is a method toString. So the toString method which allows you to describe an object, right? So now I'm going to invoke the toString method as 2 dot toString. So if you run the code, by default this description will be written. So here student is a class name, then this value represents the address of the object. So this is a default way of representing toString inside an object class. Suppose if you want to have your own definition for the toString, then you come back to your class student. Here either you can type it on your own, or if you are using Eclipse IDE, you can generate toString method. So here I have we are trying to override a toString method. So here we are trying to print the value of name and roll number, and this is going to return a string. Right now I'm going to run the same code. Here student is a class name which contains two attributes, name and roll number. So this will return the corresponding values of both attributes. So this is a description about the object we have created, right? So this is how we can demonstrate a toString method. Now if you look at the code, if you look at the student class, here for the student class there is no parent, right? Whenever you have a class without any parent, then the object class will act as a parent. In that case, this statement extends object will be added by the compiler whenever a compiler finds that a particular class does not have any parent. So whenever we extend a parent class, we are inheriting all the methods of the parent. So that is why we are able to invoke all the object class methods inside our own classes. So here we have invoked equals because the student class is inheriting all the properties of an object. That is why we are able to invoke equals method, hash code method, as well as the toString methods, right? Apart from that, we have methods like clone method, getClass. So we'll go with the getClass method. So getClass, I'm going to invoke s1 dot getClass. So we'll see what is being returned. So the getClass method returns the class name of the particular object type. So here the object type of the object, so the class type of the object S1 is going to be the student. So this will return class, and name of the class is student. So this is what returned by the get class method. And apart from that, we have method like we have method inside the class finalize. So finalize is a method which is always being invoked before deleting any objects from the memory. So we'll discuss about finalize method in depth in garbage collection section. So then there is a method clone. So the clone method will create an exact copy of an object. So for working with the clone method, as a, inside our class, we have to implement a clonable interface. So we will see how to use the clone method once we have enough idea on interface. Then we'll move on to how to work with the clone. So far we discussed about equals method, hash code method, toString, then get class, and clone we will discuss it under interface section, and finalize method we will discuss it in garbage collection section. And regarding wait and notify all we will discuss about during threading in Java. So far throughout this week we discussed about in our session 1 we discussed about features of object oriented programming. So we started with what is an object, what is a class, then we discussed about encapsulation, then we had a discussion about abstraction, then we'll move on to inheritance. Finally we discussed about single inheritance and multi-level inheritance, and we discussed about different kind of access control mechanisms in Java. There are 4 kind of access controlling in Java. Then we discussed about a lot about a super keyword, and in our next session we discussed about multi-level, how multi-level and different types of inheritance is being supported in Java. Then we discussed about the usage of final keyword. So the final keyword comes with the 3 usage. Either you can create final variable or final method, or you can have final class. And then today we had a discussion about working with object class. So object class is going to be the default it is a default parent for all the user defined class and predefined classes, then which contains a set of methods. We discussed about all these methods.